Right, so this statement here. So quick show of hands. How many people have felt like they've been working harder than anyone else in their organization? Yeah? I'm sure it's a bit more than that, to be honest. I mean, your bosses probably aren't here. If they are, they probably need to hear it anyway. So again, quick show of hands. Okay, fair play. So, all right, confession. My slides were really boring last year, and my wife said you need to spice it up a little bit. So I put some animations in. They're a bit cheesy. So here we go. So I don't know if all of you know about me, but before I became a tech recruiter and a headhunter, I had a whole career in tech itself for well over a decade. So I'm kind of unique. So I want to tell you about my early days in tech. So I was a tech engineer. I was a tech manager as well. I worked at some big companies like PwC, Thomson Reuters, and even Apple itself up in corporate. So I used to do corporate IT. And when I got my first proper Mac role, it was with a global ad agency. And it was hectic, it was chaos. And I loved it. And I really thought I'd made it at that point. So before then, I was actually in a very corporate enterprise Windows company, shall we say. So there was like 1,000 Windows machines, and yeah, I didn't really enjoy it, but I had to cut my teeth somewhere. And this was back in the early 2000s. So there wasn't really much of a Mac offering in the enterprise space. And there were actually just 3 Macs. And can anyone guess who those Macs belong to? What department? Yeah, indeed, yeah. And it's very different these days, isn't it? If you look at enterprise IT, everyone, apart from the finance people that are using Sage, really wants to be on on an Apple device these days. So we're in a lovely place right now. So that's it in my head. When I joined this global advertising agency, which was 50-50 split between Macs and Windows, and yeah, I really thought I'd made it. And I put everything into it, you know, because it's advertising. Everyone it's just a melting pot of all different types of people. And yeah, I was just really into the whole ethos of advertising. So I worked hard. I seriously worked hard. And when I was a teenager, I was a bit of a bad boy. I used to go to those sites that teenage boys do. No, not those sites. Well, maybe I went to those as well, but the ones I'm talking about are the sites on the dark web. I used to go to IRC channels, chats, and yeah, basically I learned how to use IT into scripts from being a script kiddie. So I don't know if anyone knows what a script kiddie is. So script kiddie is you befriend people on the internet, and they would try and hack into places. A slight confession, I was one of the early, I don't know if I should say this, I was one of the very first iPhone jailbreakers. So yeah, I was a naughty boy. But yeah, you befriend people, they would show you bits of code and script of how they've entered places. Yeah, and I would just learn from them. So yeah, dangerous guy because I had all this power, but I didn't know what to do with it, to be honest. So yeah, very dangerous guy. But this was when I joined the advertising agency, and I was, joined in a second line role. And yeah, I was actually doing pretty well. I was able to get into places, and help people with password resets, before there was actually an official method of password resets. And everyone was asking me, how do I do this? But I didn't want to show anyone else up as well, because I came in as a junior, really. So I would take my colleagues to the side, so nobody else would see, the IT manager wouldn't see, because these guys were my seniors. And I'll be, showing them how I do things, different ways of we can do this within IT. And yeah, I just felt such a sense of like accomplishment and, like I was needed almost. So I did this, and I carried on working super hard as well. And the best part of a year, I eventually found myself just burning out, just literally, yeah, lovely graphic, yeah, just reaching the end of my tether almost. And by the end of that year, I felt like I'd done so much, but I hadn't had the kind of recognition that I thought I deserved. And this is not an ego thing at all. I mean, because we're all in IT and we're all in support because we like to help people, I'm assuming, you guys as well. And it's that satisfaction that we get from actually resolving a user's issue, you know, and being able to better ourselves and better the organization we work for. So what I realized is that it wasn't really technical skill, because before I even came into IT, I did my MCSE, so that's the Microsoft degree almost. And I was really certified as well, so I really worked hard to learn as much as I could. And I was also doing my CCNA as well, because I wanted to be like a Cisco network administrator guy. So I had smashed all my certs, and certs, don't get me wrong, certs are so important, especially at the start of your career. You need some kind of validation, and ongoing as well. I mean, we're all Jamf guys, I'm assuming, you know, and MDM guys, and like Ulrich and Kenneth, like exactly what you guys do. Super important to get certified. It really is, like for future employers, it's validation, and for yourself as well. But like I said, it wasn't about technical skill. Why wasn't I getting the recognition that I felt like I deserved? And without that, my morals, not my morals, my, you know, how much I wanted to carry on working for this company just kind of evaporated. And so I started to think about it. You know, what really is this? You know, why am I not getting what I feel like I need? And what I realized is it's how you operate. And when I say that, I mean, I kind of broke it down into 3 different stages. So it's how you communicate, and communicating to the users, communicating to people that are high up as well in the company. That is super important, and you need to be visible. It's how you position. Every resolution you do has got to be positioned in a different way that is more visible. And it's building those relationships you have as well. So that's what's so important. I may have been working, you know, like constantly throughout my whole career there for that year. And I would always wonder why, you know, certain people would just do a burst of work and then they'll go off and they'll start talking to other people. And I used to think that was really bad. And it depends what they're talking about really. And it's kind of that which is what I feel like is super important. So some people, like I said, genuinely do great work, but they don't get noticed. And that was myself as well. And it's not because the work isn't great, it's because they haven't positioned it correctly. And looking back now, there's something I wish I'd worked out earlier. And that's, you don't always need to have this massive, great ambition in mind. Obviously, you should think about where you want to be in the next 2 years, 6 months, 3 years, whatever it is. You cannot get more focused than that. But it's the little things you do to actually get to that point there. You need to start thinking about your career in that way. Yeah, okay. My wife is not proud of me, by the way. No, she's definitely not. I remember she told me about this story, because we met at Apple, actually. She's one of the heads of advertising. And so when we first started to use Keynote, yeah, she used to be like, oh, I can't believe all these people using these animations. But I don't know. I think it makes it memorable. Yep. Okay, this is a good screen. So yeah, then you've got this other group, and I don't know if you can guess what I'm going to say here. They make their work No, not invisible. They make their work visible. They communicate, they document, and they share. So where could you document your work that you've done? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Slack. Anywhere else? Yeah, absolutely. GitHub. Anywhere that's kind of online, your internal wiki as well. So I hope you guys are doing this, but it's such a simple thing. But we forget to do these things as well. And it's normally a case of time. You know, you're busy, and you just kind of like, just mark it off as done, and that's it. But that's probably the worst thing you could do for your career, to be honest. I know it feels like you're being a hero and you're humble, but yeah, sometimes it's really not. So Slack, yeah, Mac admins. Is everyone actually a member of Mac admins on Slack? I know Tom is, definitely. He's the grandmaster over there. Actually, does everyone know Tom? Yeah, source of experience, should we say, and the golden triangle.
Sure.
Oh, really? Yeah, we don't need to have a conversation about that because that's probably the worst invention there ever was, to be honest, in the Apple world. And the best people, for instance, like Tom, they don't just solve problems. They make sure that people understand what the problem is and how they were resolved. And the way they position it, or the way they write stuff, is actually not from a place of ego to say, oh, I'm brilliant, I've done it like this. It's actually to share knowledge. And that's what we're all here for as well at MacAd. And this is what I said last year. The best place to actually come to network is actually MacAd. Because everyone here in the Apple world, we share our experiences, share our knowledge, how we've done things. Because many of you have done things for the first time that nobody else has done. And it's what's so great about the Apple community is that we share all this as well. And there's no one-upmanship. So actually, I've missed out a part here where I say, oh yeah, the APNS heart attack. So I don't know if anyone's been here before, but the APNS certificate, and it needs renewal. What is the renewal time, do you know?
365 days.
Correct. And what happens, Tom, if you don't renew your cert?
Now, nothing terrible.
Well, okay, what about back in the day when I was still a techie?
Everything falls apart.
Yeah, everything falls apart. It is literally, yeah, it's painful, should we say. It's extremely painful. So there was a time where I actually caught it with 12 hours to go. I don't know how nobody else had actually noticed it was about to expire. But I dropped everything. Total panic, sweating, like swearing. It's like, oh my God, we need to do this, blah, 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 blah. Trying to find out what the Apple ID we did to enroll it was as well. You know, trying to find out what the password is, you know. Panic, total panic. And after I'd gone through that, I'd renewed it. Do you know what I did? I went to Jira, and I just said, done, resolved. And that's it. And I left thinking that I would get a round of applause. I would get my manager running across to me, oh my gosh, Chris, you saved us. You know, but nothing, because I was invisible. What I did was invisible, because I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't shout about it. I'm not the shouting kind of guy, but still, I should have written about it, and I should have explained to everyone. In the ticket as well, I should have explained it, you know, to save the company from a catastrophic, you know, enrollment issue tomorrow. You know, we are going to have an absolute meltdown, but we just saved it. So it's just a lesson, really, to say we need to sort that out, and it's not about ability. So I've seen incredibly talented engineers just stay stuck at the same level. Stay at the second line level, which is not a bad thing, but you know, they want to progress on, but they just can't progress on because they don't. And the reason for this is, every time I speak to them, is that they haven't actually shown people what they know. They may have proved it, but they haven't actually shown people they're not relevant at the time. And that is such an important thing to actually have. And the best engineers are the ones that actually teach. Because when you teach something, you know it so much more differently. You know it inside out. Yeah. So I don't know if that's meant to be me or my wife, but. Okay, handing over the keys. So I don't know if anyone can guess what this is about, but when you hand over the keys, it's when you're imparting your knowledge on others as well. Yeah, so this is the junior tech I had working under me. Great attitude, seriously, but terrified of Jamf. Every time a software package needed updating, just like he would run away. He just was scared of it. He was a Windows guy. And I just thought, sod it, this is quicker if I just do it myself. I'll teach up another time. But one day I actually just thought to myself, I'm just gonna block it out in the diary, make it visible. And we'd sit down for an hour, I would teach about a package. The simple thing, just teach about to package Chrome. Didn't take very long at all. Nothing mind-blowing. And next week, I did Zoom as well, but I actually put it in the diary. I made sure that everyone could see this as well. And when you're visible, yeah, my IT manager actually came to me at the end of the month. He's like, I can't believe you're doing this with him. Nobody else is taking the time to do this. You're actually doing this for him. So they started to see me as someone who was ready for leadership, taking over a team, running a team. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, I want to say that these small decisions you make, these daily decisions you make, they actually have such a huge outcome in your career at a certain company. To actually build up these small things that you're doing, yeah, it just creates big outcomes. Yeah, I do like that one. So, if you're sitting there thinking, all right, what do I actually do? Communication, but communicating your impact, not just activity. I think probably one of the most important things that we can do as support people and IT people and developers is actually, it sounds weird to say this, but to actually learn how your company makes money. Because if you learn how your company makes money, then you could become useful yourself as well. Because you're gearing everything towards how IT supports the business itself. And that is ultimately what they want from us. Because they look at IT as a money pit that we just demand money. And they're not going to make anything back from it. And I'm sure everybody's nodding their heads, so everybody knows. It's a struggle, isn't it, sometimes, to get what you need from the business. Because they see it as continuity, BAU. But it's really not. So, think to yourself, okay, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work, but I want everyone in the room to just relax. Relax even more. Relax your shoulders. And now, trust me, just close your eyes. I know this sounds like a yoga thing, and don't worry, I'm not going to steal your wallets or in your eyes, but make sure you close your eyes. Anyway, we all know that all your data and money's in your phone these days. Tom, are you closing your eyes? And forget what I said about me being a hacker when I was young and hacking phones. Think about the last major ticket that you closed or the last big project that you finished. How did you communicate that? When you resolved it, how did you communicate that? Just have a long think about it. What's the exact message that you sent to your boss about that? And be brutally honest with yourself. Did you just say done? Did you just say deployed the Jamf profile? Because I bet a lot of you actually did. What is your true value, though? Did you communicate your true value, the actual impact of what you did, the gravitas of the resolution that you wrote down in your help desk ticketing system? because you really should have written something like deployed the new Mac OS update, securing 500 endpoints against the latest vulnerability, but you didn't disrupt any user workflows. And if you have been writing stuff like that, well done to you. But I bet a lot of you haven't been. So how would you rewrite it now then? Just think how you would rewrite that. Because that is your new baseline. And that is what you need to carry forward for everything you do from now on. Okay, so you're probably thinking, Chris wrote in his synopsis that this was going to be seen through the eyes of ADHD. And I haven't actually talked about it until now, and it's probably nearing the end of the presentation. But when I wrote the synopsis, it's probably the best part of a year ago, and I'd newly been diagnosed with ADHD. And it was fresh to me. I loved it. And my whole intention was to write this through the lens of ADHD. But in true ADHD fashion, I got bored of ADHD, which is crazy. There is a lot, I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to out themselves or what have you, but is anyone here neurodivergent as well? Yeah. So it could be autism, anywhere on the spectrum, ADHD. Our minds are different, and we actually thrive in the world where we need to troubleshoot something. It's that new source of like dopamine, almost, which is why we find a lot of ourselves in tech support roles. That is interesting to us. And it's trying to get the businesses to understand how we actually work. Does anyone get lost down a rabbit hole? Yeah? It's a constant thing, isn't it? And it's equally brilliant because you are doing brilliant stuff. You're doing stuff that no one else can really have the obsession to be that detailed. But it's also hard because you spend so much time doing something that somebody else has just done within 5-10 minutes. And that was always my problem as well. And with ADHD, especially in tech, you find yourself getting overwhelmed almost, especially if you have back-to-back meetings. So I had my talk with my good friend Ben Riley, and he's also ADHD like myself. And stuff like back-to-back meetings, they're just stressful for us. We just become overwhelmed with one meeting that's intense and then straight away go into another one. A lot easier is to actually have meeting notes sent to us in advance. That would probably be something that would be key. And then we're a lot closer to working out what our resolution would be from that. It's a busy mind. Yeah, constantly having a busy mind, constantly working against so many different things. And even in my podcast interview with Keep IT Talking, I discussed it where a mind that has one task to do, and that is looking at my phone in the kitchen when I'm drawing with my daughter and my wife, we're just drawing 6-year-old stuff, obviously. Look at my phone and my battery indicator is red. I'm just like, oh, babe, I need to run upstairs and go and get a battery charger. So it's like a 4-story house, so I run upstairs. By the time I'm up there, I thought about how cold are the rings of Saturn. I thought about how do I best recycle my loot in the most efficient way in Ark Raiders, or whatever game I'm playing at the time. I thought about a million different things. I got up, my piano's not straight. And then 25 minutes later, she rings me, and she's like, where the hell are you? Didn't you just go up and go and get a charger for your iPhone? And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's like a million things. So it's that kind of distractedness, which means that after about 20 minutes of doing any task that we're not 100% interested in, our minds would wander. And it's really hard to actually get the businesses to believe that, but it is actually a true thing. So there are so many unfinished projects I've had during my time. And ADHD superpowers, they're a myth, but they are actually real as well. And we just need systems to allow us to kind of succeed. So I don't know if anyone knows about my kind of career history. So when I left A-levels, well, I didn't pick up an instrument until I was 15. And then I discovered I was obsessive about guitar. I had a talent for it. I went through my entire gradings in like 3 years. So by the time I was 18, I went to music school, much to my parents' dismay because, as you can tell, I'm Oriental. My parents wanted me to become a lawyer, a doctor, something that was respectable, but yeah. I went to do music school. But then I found out that to make it in music, you have to be a singer, you have to be blonde, and you have to be sexy. If you're not any of those three things, you're probably not going to make any money from it. So I'm not blonde, and I'm definitely not a singer. So it was very hard. So I just dropped music just like that. Did session musician for 6 months, but it's very hard if you only get one session in 6 months. How do you live? So I dropped it, but then once I started understanding my ADHD 16 years later, I started to come up with these methods that I discussed with you. And it's allowed me to actually finally finish my musical album. 25 years late, but I've actually finally published an album. And that's just for having these techniques, like 20-minute bursts, or if I get hyper-obsessed about something, just take a second, just breathe, and just step back, and just be able to see it now. And that's what I've been able to do, to see my entire music project come together. Same for my graphics work as well. So you really can achieve a lot if you've got ADHD, and you just need to know what the game is. That's the most important thing. And when businesses understand your ADHD, there is a human return on investment. I don't want to sound like salesy, but it's true. And these habits, knowing these habits which I've discussed, are probably the main things. Change the game. See, I wish somebody had told me this before. I really do. Yep, work differently. Your mind is different, so work differently. Be visible. That's the most important thing I can say. And I wish I'd learned that earlier when I was a techie, just to be visible. And teaching. Yeah, I cannot stress that enough. Plus, you're a good person. You want to actually impart your knowledge on other people. But it actually is a good thing. Oh, so if anyone's interested, yeah, this is the kind of project that I went through that I've recently completed. So it's all in Apple apps as well, Logic. And you can probably tell, ADHD obsessive because I've got like a million tracks there. And also the same for Pixelmator Pro, which is amazing. Oh my gosh. So I was a Photoshop guy 25 years ago, but Pixelmator Pro, my God, destroys it. Yeah, ADHD as well, so a million things just to get that. So, that's it for me for today. Thank you.
Got any questions for Chris? There is a question in the... Oh, go on. Tom's got one. I'm going to have to come and give you the mic, though. I think this is the second time I've run after you today, Tom. So,
Great talk, Chris.
Thank you.
Burnout's something near and dear to my heart. I have burned out before. It's not fun. I don't recommend it. What's the best advice that you can give to people to help avoid that before it happens?
Yeah, I hope that people now would be able to try and almost identify that you're approaching that point of burnout. And you'll know it within yourself. And you need to start just taking time for yourself to actually stand back and see what you do on a day-to-day basis. Know that you do have a lot more worth than what other people see, and that if you don't actually talk about what your achievements are or have been up till now, it's going to be very hard for other people to see it as well. Don't sit back and wait for other people to appreciate what you've done. Actually take the time to actually show people what you've done. Go to Slack Mac admins. Yeah, there's no worries at all. Yeah, there is so much you can actually do, but don't be afraid to talk to other people as well. probably one of the key things is that have someone you can trust, you can confide in. And to be honest, anyone who's on Mac admins, we're on Mac admins for a reason, because we're there to support each other. Anyone can come talk to me. There's no problem at all. I've been so close to the limit so many times in my life. So many times I've neared that point of exasperation where I just think, I can't do this anymore. So I understand, and you have my complete confidence as well. And I'm sure anyone else would offer up their confidence in you. So yeah, please just do approach us if needed.
Cool. Geordie did put a question in the app, which I know you've answered, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I think it is a really good question, which I think a lot of people might be able to relate to who haven't seen that already. It says, if you're really passionate about your job and find yourself working late, early weekends to get around, how would you suggest dealing with that, as it might very much lead to burnout?
Yeah, absolutely, and I can identify with that myself as well, because when I worked at Iris, that global advertising agency, I loved that job. I loved the work I did. I loved the people that I worked with and worked for. So it's very easy to overextend yourself. It really is. Like I said, it is something you need to take a step back. All of us should just take a step back from time to time. Evaluate what we're doing. Evaluate the processes with which we are leading our work life. It's something that possibly after today, or even just sit back for 5 minutes now and just think don't quit your job, obviously, because of me, but have a think about your job and, what value do you bring to your company? Because we all do bring value to our companies that we work for. We're there because we love what we do. And just know your worth. It's the key things. Oh, make yourself visible.
There's a question at the front.
Hey.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for sharing that.
Hey.
Curious much, though. So, do you not find that the majority of people who mostly work in IT admins are largely introverts? And so there's that, forget, even self-value, there's just that natural struggle to talk.
Absolutely.
and do the communicate and the visible.
I know this exactly. I know exactly what you're saying as well.
I'm not sure how to articulate the question, but there is a personal internal struggle with having to do that change. How have you worked through that? If you're naturally an introvert, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I am, even though I'm quite a people person, naturally I am quite an introvert as well. I'm quite happily sit in front of a computer scripting all day long. I've always got a terminal open, even though I'm a recruiter. It's just something that it makes me feel at ease. So I know exactly what you're saying. And to actually not be humble, well, we're all humble, but it's actually knowing that you have value and communicating that value. I know what you're saying. You don't naturally just want to talk about yourself. But this is what I'm trying to impart on you, is the confidence to talk about yourself, because you have that value.
I do have a follow-on question. So I like the 3 things you put on there where you said communicate, be visible, and teach. So I've always advocated for the 2 outer bits.
Yeah.
But I've always shied away from the middle, and I still do that till today. But to do that, one of the, I guess, the blessing that I think I had earlier on in my IT career is just I do a lot of self-reflection. So I kind of identified very early on through personality tests and stuff like that what type of leadership I had, and I very much discovered I was a servant leadership. So I still struggle with being visible because my thing is about, I would gladly teach all day long what I know to someone else.
Yeah.
And I would gladly communicate with seniors because they need to understand and feel like they can, follow through what actually happened without being technical, right? But it's just that visible bit. It's just
You're already doing the hard bit, though. You're actually communicating it already. And how are you communicating to the leadership, for instance?
It depends on what format. So if it's something I've done over the weekend, I know no one's not in the office, I will write the email so that they can catch it, read it on a Monday.
Yeah.
If it's a meeting, I'll do the meeting. But it's not like a presentation like this. I couldn't do this if you paid me, but I do make the effort to make sure people understand in whatever layman's term that is relevant to that audience.
Good, yeah.
It's just the make yourself visible thing. It's not.
I know it, and if it's not something that's natural to you, I know how hard it is going to be. But like I keep saying, just know your value, know your worth. You know that you're good at your job, I'm assuming. Actually, would other people say that you're good at your job?
So I do rely heavily on that. I don't seek validation though.
No,
But I feel like a good leader would know who in their team was the weak point and who was a strong candidate. Not to cause separation, but you would then know, like, if it's a time-sensitive task, I wouldn't ask Joe to do it. I might need Bob to go to do that job, and I try to use my team to get the best outcome. But there's always a retrospective step back after the outcome is achieved. Go back and teach someone else. I'm a great advocate for something like that.
Yeah. Are you in a management position?
I wouldn't say so. I'm a solution architect now, but I've been avoiding promotion because of that visible stuff.
And a lot of people do, yeah. They just want to stay as an IC, for instance, individual contributor, for that reason. And it may not be your thing, but you can be more visible. You can be more visible. Trust me. You just have a little version of me in your head, when you're going to be putting this, just giving you a slap, just like, shut up, just be yourself. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you're brilliant because otherwise you would not be here. They would not pay for you to be here. So believe it, okay? Come speak to me afterwards.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.